Hey, welcome once again to Look and Live. You're here with Pastor James Devalon. In this video, we are going to part number 4 with the 7 deadly psychological sins. By the way, here is a link where you can keep up with us, where we are going through the series. So make sure you go to part 1, 2, 3. These are short videos under 20 minutes, and you can get through that. And there's a lot of things there that I think could be beneficial for you. So we are with Dr. Jennifer. We are gonna go through part 4, 7 deadly psychological sins. The first 3 parts have been dealing with issues that is happening in the minds and decisions, such as criticism, complaining, self-pity, and there's also a positive side to each one. So that's why you need to go through these videos and see how these informations could fit for your life, how some of the counsels given could be beneficial to you. Yeah, I hope you are ready, because I'm ready for part number 4 with the 7 psychological sins with Dr. Jennifer Schweissner. Before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more of my notification uploads. Comment below, share your thought and perspective with me. Every thumbs up matter. This is how we get this channel up and running. And special thanks to all my members. Special thanks to all my new subscribers. I am glad you're here. So I'm hoping these videos could be a benefit to you as well. So, all right, let's move on to part number 4. I got my pen and paper. I hope you're ready. I got my yellow notebook here. I got my pen. I'm ready to write down. I hope you come with an attitude and a hunger to learn. Without further ado, let's get into the heart of the message.
The next deadly psychological sin is worry. Worry. Worry reacts to the possibility of danger versus the probability of danger. In psychology, we call it hypervigilance. Not that vigilance is completely unnecessary. We need to be on guard. There are dangers in the world. But worry reacts to the possibility of danger, and the possibility of danger is almost unlimited. The problem with hypervigilance or worry is that it doesn't achieve the protection that one hopes it will achieve. It's a known fact in abuse counseling victims of abuse, that those that have been abused, those that have been victimized, are often re-victimized. And we think the reason for this is that they are hypervigilant. They're so afraid of everything that their nervous systems literally get worn out, and they miss the actual threat, and they're not able to defend themselves against that. Worry is blind and cannot discern the future. The reason we worry is that we hope it's going to help us predict any kind of potential threat out there, but it doesn't work that way at all. It doesn't discern the future. It's blind. So for no other reason, reject this habit of worry, because it just doesn't achieve what you think it's going to achieve.
Yeah.
The replacement for worry is trust.
Yeah.
Now, I know trust sounds like a very dangerous proposition, particularly to some of you, those of you whose trust has been horribly violated. But it's worse for you to never trust than it is for you to distrust. So I suggest that you learn to trust, but that you learn to trust intelligently. All institutions, all social entities, whether it be a family or a church or even a society, function on the basis of trust. When trust falls away from a given society, that society makes a cultural descent. A society cannot prosper when there's no trust between the members of society. The same thing is true of smaller societies like families and friendships. Trust provides a foundation for healthy functioning in relationships and healthy functioning in individuals as well. What we find in psychology is that there's a little chemical in your brain called oxytocin that is kind of the mediator for trust. It's the thing that's working in your brain when you're forming a trust bond. Research shows that injected oxytocin increases the willingness to take social risks. So if I were to inject you with oxytocin, this little chemical in your brain, then you would be more inclined to talk to a stranger or more inclined to form a new friendship. There's research on loneliness and how it relates to trust. Quote, loneliness was negatively correlated with each measure of trust beliefs and trusting behavior. The bottom line is that trust is worth the risk, even though it does bring certain risk factors. In fact, there is no such thing as trust without risk. You do away with risk, you do away with trust. But even though there's a risk involved in trusting, it is worth the risk, particularly if you learn how to choose your friends well and how to choose confidants well and how to conduct your life in an intelligent manner. What you will find is you will be disappointed in other people less and less, and that those trust bonds will build, and that trust itself will form the foundation for healthy functioning in you and in your relationships.
Wow. That was really, really good. Man, what do you guys think? What have you learned today is the big question. I got my notes. You have yours? Now listen. Trust is built on the possibility of danger instead of the probability of danger, which is true. And also trust is birthed from a hyper vigilance mentality. You are watching to catch the danger, and oftentimes just like she says, people who are hyper vigilant or end up becoming a casualty themselves. So they're watching so much and for danger in certain areas, and when it gets them, they don't even realize it. True, I think that is certainly part of the issue in our culture today. There is a lack of trust, especially with the past 2 years and all these laws and regulation that were imposed upon many of us, then decisions that were made to inject our bodies with, what I mean, with the syringe, in the hope of solving a particular issue that was plaguing the race. A lot of trust has been destroyed in either the medical system and as well as government. I would say the same is true for me, but at the same time, I know what to trust, and I love what she says here, trusting intelligently. So there is a worry that these people are out there trying to hurt people. While that exists and it should be a concern, but we can't live in that mentality. It's very dangerous to live and kind of build a prison cell made of fear of what could possibly happen again. Living in that worry is not good either for us. So I know I've been somewhat very skeptical of many different things. I do have a lot of doubts when it comes to a lot of things, especially when it comes to religious matters. Somebody comes and say, hey, I got a dream from the Lord, or the Lord told me to tell you. And I'm like, oh gosh, God's always telling you. If God wanted me to know, he would have told me. I have a relationship with him. but sometimes God does send messages to you from others as well. But there's a lot of things people tell me, like, hey, the Lord told me. I'm like, I don't trust you like that with the Lord told me. But sometimes it's true. It's coming from God. Sometimes it's just people's imagination, whatever. But so yeah, learning to put a difference between worry and trust. So worry is blind. It cannot discern the future. So there's no really, it's a waste of time to worry so much. Even Jesus says in Matthew 6, think no thought for your life. The idea is don't worry about your life. Take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is in the life more than meat, the body than raiment, and so on. And he just tells you, hey, man, don't worry about anything. Just by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. Ephesians chapter 4, about verse 6 and 7. So the best thing to do with our worries and fears is to choose to trust. Now, I love what she said here as well. Very significant. You don't go and just trust blindly, you trust intelligently. Okay, there are some people or some system that no longer deserve my trust, right? There are some people that you just can't trust. There are some people you're gonna have to trust them in parts. You know, those people who don't always come through, but every now and then they pop up and show up when you least expect it. So there needs to be a level of trust in these individuals, but you don't trust them to the point where they have the power to break your heart when they fail you. And I think we have to be careful with that. And sometimes in our relationships, trust can be broken if something happens there, or someone doesn't hold true to the commitment, or a promise is made and wasn't kept, or somebody steps out of bound. Trust can be broken, but it can be rebuilt. It's always best to work on rebuilding trust as much as possible, address the problem for what they are, and rebuild it. Trust provide a stability for healthy families. It's true. Families, in order for us to live in a society, the family structure must be healthy. And if the family structure is going to be healthy, there needs to be trust. You know, you need to be on time. You need to be there for the kids. You need to be trustworthy, which means I can depend on you. You can depend on me. I need to be around when you need me. The same is true for those whom you love. They need to be able to know that you got their back, right? Got your six. I learned about oxytocin, which is the chemical in your brain that helps you to trust people. You know, I've heard about that before. Trust comes with risk. If you're gonna trust, be aware that there are times that there's gonna be some heartbreaks. You know, like when people talk about like why did God create Satan? Well, God trusted Lucifer with the ability to choose. So God is a God of love. So in His love, there is trust. You know, so love can not exist without trust and without choice. So He trusted Lucifer with the choice to do what is right, and Lucifer chose to do his own thing and became Satan. That's what the Bible teaches us. So God doesn't control the choice. He actually trusted Satan with Lucifer with the choice to do what is right. So that explains it. Sometimes you can trust someone, and in their trust, in you trusting them, that puts you at risk for a serious danger. You know, you can trust a driver to take you from point A to point B, and that driver could make a bad decision on the road, which could really mess up your life in a car accident and so on. So I have a lady that I'm working with right now. That's her problem. She trusted somebody to drive her car, and he flipped the car 3 times, head-on collision. She's in a really bad shape. She's recovering, but it was bad, very sad. You know, like to the point where the driver himself died. But she had to trust. But I don't think she trusted intelligently in that case, because from what I've heard, he was intoxicated. That wasn't intelligent. So enough about that. But yeah, so choose wisely, trust wisely, and be intelligent about choosing. There are things in this world that are still trustworthy. I think trusting with our lives to the point where it's a matter of life and death based on the decision we make with certain systems, I would say I'll be prayerful. We gotta trust. We gotta trust them, but while we're doing the trusting, there should still be a level of carefulness. I would say carefulness, because when they do fail, at least we know we can fall on God, and I think ultimately our trust must be in God, and then trust whatever is possible around us. You know, that all trustworthy enough based on experience and relationship we build with these systems. Then and also the people around us, then we know how to trust properly. Anyway, much more could be said. What have you learned? Comment below, share your thought and perspective with me. Thank you so much for listening to me ranting on this one. Once again, I want to keep these videos under 16 minutes. Remember to look unto Jesus, to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.